Yuito is a young child who was born powerless in a world where everyone has superhuman abilities. He lost memory of the experiments as a result of his father's experimentation on him, which also gave him A-ranked abilities that could develop into SS rank ones. He was almost killed by others, but an OSF member intervened to save him. Some people are vicious monsters who devour human brains. Since that time, Yuito has developed into a smart, upbeat boy who is also kind and determined, who wants to join the OSF in order to aid and save others. He worked so hard to prepare and was finally able to join the force. The fact that he comes from the well-known Sumeragi family makes him the next big thing in the news, but not for the right reasons. Yuito, who joined the OSF despite having a low psionic aptitude, is the center of attention because his father is the town's president, causing everyone to believe that he abused his family's influence. He and his teammate Naji and his childhood friend Hanabi meet their assigned team on his first day as an OSF member. Sito is in charge, followed by Kejiro, who possesses B-rank invisibility, and Sugumi, who possesses C-rank clairvoyance. Yuito uses his A-rank psychokinesis, while Hanabi uses A-rank pyrokinesis and Naji uses C-rank aerokinesis, according to his introduction. This allows him to throw rocks without actually touching your neighborhood bullies. The monster attack in town causes the introduction party to end before it even gets going, and Yuito's job is to do nothing but watch the adults play while relaxing, until he comes across a young child pleading for assistance after her mother changed into a monster. Yuito is forced to hurriedly save the girl despite being told not to. He can't stand the idea of someone experiencing what he almost did years ago. Without giving it a second thought, Yuito transforms and uses his abilities to push the monster away from the young child. Even though his attacks are weak, he still pushes forward to save this girl. The monster chases him while he tries to push him back with his powers. And despite being considered this young prodigy, he still manages to trip in the crucial moment, forcing a cutie named Kasane to save him. She has the same power as him and uses it to restrain the monster, while he smashes it off with a huge trash bin. When Yuito finally looks at Kasane's face, he realizes that she was the one who saved him 11 years ago. The next day, after some intense practice, Yuito receives a call from his father arranging a meeting to talk about his mother, who passed away while he was still a baby. But first, he must fight some monsters attacking the abandoned subway system. There, the teams quickly get surrounded, forcing them to retreat. They manage to find a safe location, however. Kasane's younger sister, Naomi, quickly pushes her sister to the ground, getting hit by a sniper shot. Naomi's powers start going berserk, turning her into a monster who starts attacking everyone within sight. Yuito jumps in using his sword to make multiple visual effects attacks on the other, before being forcefully stopped by Kasane standing in front of her monstrous sister. Suddenly, the monster disappears and Karen, the 2nd Regiment commander, appears. He asks everyone to keep the event a secret, and he will report Naomi died in battle. Later, Kasane tells Yuito that Saren, his older brother, is behind her sister being turned into a monster. Suddenly, another major monster attack forces them out to battle. Karen joins the two teams present at the last incident and orders them to go to a certain location. While on their path, Yuito notices Naji's memories about the incident aren't precise. He got mentally disturbed and spent a week in the hospital. Suddenly, they lose all forms of communication and get surrounded by other OSF members. The OSF accuses their platoon of performing human experiments. Luca, Karen's younger brother, shows up using teleportation and tells them to run. Karen shows up and Luca tries to hit him with his hammer, but is quickly knocked back. Karen transforms into his fighting form and unleashes his power, SS rank Brain Eater. He can copy anyone's skills and use them. He quickly knocks everyone away using 3 different abilities at the same time. A fight breaks out and Yuito stays by Kasane's side until he's attacked by his close friend, Naji. He was brainwashed and experimented on while he was getting treatment. Yuito uses his power to hold stones up to protect himself and Kasane. He tries to reason his friend back to reality, explaining Naomi transformed into a monster, instead of dying in battle as Naji remembers. However, he still doesn't bite it and unleashes his new power, creating a tornado. Sito, the platoon captain, intervenes, stopping the massive tornado with his power. He gets heavily injured, but still manages to approach Naji and knocks him out using electricity before passing away. Yuito and Kasane's eyes meet the deep of the abyss as they see Sito collapse. Suddenly, both start to feel a massive headache and a black hole appears. It absorbs several members of the OSF, including Yuito and Kasane. The two find themselves in a dark place filled with red strings and notice a screen where they see Yuito's ancestor from 2,000 years ago. But they're separated by some strings, and Yuito wakes up in the same place he was before being absorbed, but Kasane is still missing. Gemma, the one who previously accused Sito, explains to Yuito the whole situation. Basically, the government is performing research to brainwash their fighters and turn them into monsters. And Karen wants to overthrow the government. Yuito tries to get back to his father, making sure he's safe. However, when he gets there, he finds his father against the wall and Kasane is in front of him holding a knife soaked in blood. She starts rushing towards Yuito to attack and end him as well. Why, you ask? Inside the black hole, she time-traveled 50 years into the future. There she met a blind Yuito, the only survivor in the world. He told her that he and she not only have the psychokinesis, but also the SS-ranked Red String's power, the ability to time travel and exist in different timelines. And basically, she has to go back and kill him because the black hole grows larger every time he uses his power. And if he dies, the black hole will disappear, and she will save the world. Back to the present, Kasane holds Yuito at knife point, but she can't manage to finish the job. She backs off and Yuito's father gives his apology words to his son, telling him to watch his back and about the nation wanting him. But before finishing, he gives his final breath. Yuito and his group return to visit their older brother, the newly elected president. Yuito is chosen by him to serve as the new commander and hero. Yuito, however, is experiencing some strange memory issues. He suddenly loses all memory of how he got there, how he became a commander, and is in the middle of a patrol. However, the doctor says, "You're just stressed out, bro." Luca explains the rationale behind Karen's uprising plans. He wants to travel back in time and save Alice because she tried to save him and was brainwashed and transformed into a monster. Major Fubuki introduces himself to the group and gives Yuito the stress medication he forgot to take, similar to the ampoules that were fired at Naomi when she changed into a monster. The team embarks on a mission to defeat monsters, but Yuito is unable to use his abilities. He struggles to do so because he always gets a severe headache. After taking the medicine in the ampoule, he begins to feel better, as if by magic. He immediately summons his strength and one-shots all the nearby monsters. However, he is unknowingly enlarging the black hole at the same time. They immediately embarked on a mission to find a warehouse by following some cargo trucks. They investigate the area and learn that the trucks are storing and moving human brains. Additionally, Yuito's medication is developed using the same brains. Once more experiencing flashes of memory, the group decides to leave the area, merely to see Kasane and her crew once more. She admits that Naomi is still alive in her monster form when Yuito presses her for an explanation, and that until she is changed back into a human again, she needs the same medication to keep her sane. Yuito now firmly believes that she killed his father after hearing this explanation. She launches her first attack after catching a glimpse of what Yuito from the future told her. She uses her powers as they engage in combat, and Yuito uses his sword to block and dodge. Before she decides to take a pillar holding the ceiling and throw it at our boy, they enter a telekinetic battle in which they literally throw rocks at one another. He tries to block it, but is knocked back. As a result, his group teleports away along with him. The mission to recover Naji's memory is given to Yuito's team by Major Fubuki, but when they arrive, they find a hostile Naji who has been brainwashed. Everyone wants to avoid hurting Naji as he hurls fan-like blades their way. Naji calls them traitors and threatens to kill him if they attempt to attack as Yuito tries to use his power, but passes out. Later, Yuito and his team awoke in a room with chairs restricting them. He meets a scientist there who claims to have met him and conducted 17 experiments on him 11 years prior. And since Yuito had no psionic ability prior to the experiment, his memory loss is a result of his power. Now that Yuito has developed a powerful ability and is the ideal test subject, the doctor wants to dissect him. When Major Fubuki arrives to save them, he orders them to depart. Yuito discovers that his brother set him up as a traitor while leaving the building, and he's now wanted for trying to steal government information. Karen shows up to recruit him but gets rejected. He then mentions Yuito and his group going to Togetsu, an independent city that wouldn't mind having a wanted criminal. Yuito heads with his crew to the new city, where he's welcomed despite never meeting them before. They are taken to a room and Yuito is told to interact with a book to know about the history. A hologram of Kyoko, Kasane's squad leader, appears and she reveals to be a designed child, a genetic clone created by Togetsu 2,000 years ago. 3,000 years ago, the world faced a major crisis and humans were forced to live on the moon for survival. Earth became safe 2,000 years ago and Yuito's ancestors returned. At the same time, a comet passed by, bringing strange, special dust that turned most of the people living on the moon into monsters. To survive, they pushed the dust onto the Earth, creating a barrier to keep it around the planet, allowing the monsters to spread into the planet. The group is taken to another room with another book. Yuito touches it and is unable to move. Togetsu wants to take over his brain and use his power along with Kasane's, who was also taken by them. Luckily, she was saved by Kajiro and manages to establish contact with Yuito to release him from the trance. Togetsu's goal is to use Yuito's and Kasane's power to return to the past and never go to Earth. Both Yuito and Kasane's group manage to evacuate the location and meet outside. Everything is revealed as a result of their information exchange, including the cause of Kasane's attempt on Yuito's life, the fact that Kasane is also a designed child, and the fact that Kajiro is one of the moon people who returned to Earth 2,000 years ago. After emerging from a cryogenic chamber alive, he pretended to obey Togetsu's instructions. Kasane's group will return to try to persuade the revolution to end, and Yuito's group will do the same for his side. The group splits up to carry out their new missions. Yuito encounters Nagi, who has been completely brainwashed and has now attained S-rank power, when he returns to the city and is still seen as a traitor. The group successfully avoids and blocks Nagi's attack when he uses his daggers and wind power. Although Yuito doesn't want to fight his best friend, Nagi rushes towards him. When Nagi unleashes his tremendous wind power, Yuito's teammates are knocked to the ground and Yuito tries to flee by moving the fight to a different location. As the all-out battle intensifies, Yuito is compelled to use his powers to deflect Nagi's blows. However, he soon develops headaches. Nagi projects Yuito across the street with a dark wind ball she throws at his back. Yuito is able to stand up again and moves towards the structure, where they used to secretly practice. He makes some progress with his talk no jutsu when Nagi's brainwashing begins to overwhelm him. But after suffering from a severe headache, he reverts to his original state and requests Yuito's brain. Thoughtfully, he throws his flying daggers. It's similar to seeing a 4-year-old child randomly punch an adult. After a brain overload, Nagi finally succeeds in scratching Yuito. But just as he prepares to deliver the finishing blow, his brain overloads and fried. As he recalls their past interactions, when he had hoped to die battling monsters rather than his best friend, Nagi reverts to normal and says his parting words. Yuito runs into his older brother, who rejects his plan and tells the truth. 2,000 years have passed while they waited to grant their ancestors' wishes, to exact revenge on the moon people using the power of the red strings. To inform the populace of the government's plans, Yuito records everything. Kasane learns that the government intends to use the monsters as a weapon against the moon people on the other side. As her group approaches the area, Togetsu attacks with the intention of stealing and using her abilities. Along with the other humans there who were also changed into monsters, Naomi makes a promise to protect her in her monster form. While defending her sister, Naomi suffers serious injuries and they say their final goodbyes before she disappears. As Alice, the person he loved who had transformed into a monster, is also disappearing, Karen appears and sees her. Angered, Karen copies Kasane's red strings abilities and rushes to find Yuito. When Karen appears and mimics his power, he is broadcasting what his brother told him just then. Thanks for sticking with us until the end. Make sure to subscribe for more videos like this.